Hello seniors, and welcome back to our video series for college-bound seniors. I'm Mrs. Weitzel, one of the counselors here at Loveland High School, and I'll be walking you through a few of the videos. This is video number 4. We'll be covering letters of recommendation. So as you can see here, we have a pretty long list of things that steps that you're going to take to get this letter of recommendation, and we'll go through those one by one. So you should be able to find in your college application information what you will need. So you may need a teacher letter, you may need a teacher and a counselor letter, you may be able to provide other letters or additional teachers. So you will need to find that information out before you set out on this journey. So most of you probably will need at least one teacher letter of recommendation. Once you've determined who you want to have write that, you're going to talk to them in person and ask them if they are able to fulfill that request. Please speak to them personally if at all possible. If it's not possible for some reason, you could send an email, but please make sure that you ask before following any of these other steps. While you are speaking to them, make sure that you cover your timeline and the deadline for your letter so that they can make an informed decision about whether or not they can meet that deadline. So at this point, we're going to assume that they have said yes. And the next thing you're going to want to do is provide them with some information that will help them write that letter of recommendation. So if you go to Google Classroom, you will see the LHS College Bound Senior Google Classroom. If you have not yet joined this, here's the join code. And we highly recommend that every college-bound senior is in this Google Classroom. We post a lot of information here. It's the best way to know what's going on. So you'll see their scholarship information, financial aid information, some helpful things that Mr. Kane has posted, also talking about Colorado free application days. So very valuable classroom to be involved in. For the purpose of letter of recommendation, we're going to go to classwork, and you will see this letter of recommendation, personal profile here. And then you're going to come down and you're just going to go ahead and click on the link there. Now this will be your own copy of the letter of rec personal profile. You don't need to make a copy. This is already assigned directly to you. So you want to start out, of course, with your name. And then the next most important piece is to reiterate your deadline date. Even though you've told them in person, let's make sure we put it in writing so they don't have an opportunity to forget. The rest of this is whatever works for you. This is not an exam. Not every piece needs to be filled out, but I will tell you that the more information you can share, probably the better letter you're going to receive. The one thing I do want to point out here is that please let your writer know what specifically you would like them to emphasize in your letter of recommendation. If you're writing or if you're asking for more than one, you can list the different items here that you would like them to each address separately. But this is really helpful so that maybe I, as a counselor, I want to know whether you want me to talk about your academics more than your leadership or vice versa, or do you want both of them covered equally? So please guide them a little bit with that. All right, so now they've agreed to it. You've got your personal profile filled out. Now you're simply going to share it with them through Google, and you are all set and ready to go with what it is that you need to accomplish with them. All right, then the next thing to do is to send them a request through either the Common Application or Zello, or possibly both. There are videos for both Common Application and Zello that will talk about how you get that request to your recommender. So if you're only using one or the other, either just Common App or just Zello, you can just watch the one that pertains to you. For a lot of you, you will be using both because not all colleges are on the Common Application. So then you would watch both of them. Now you're kind of in a holding pattern while you're giving them time to write. A few days before your deadline, it would be great to reach out to them and just give them a gentle reminder that your deadline's coming up. We know that teachers are extremely busy people, as are you. So they may have put it on the back burner, and just by stopping by their classroom or sending them a quick email, just saying, hey, I just wanted to remind you, my deadline's coming up in a few days. Please let me know if you have any questions. So that's a nice, gentle way of bringing it back to the top of the list. You can also check in your account, both Common App and Zello. You will be able to see whether or not that letter has been sent. So maybe they got it done early and you don't even have to do the follow-up. But please make sure that you look into your account to make sure that it has been completed. If it is on your deadline day and it's not been sent, then that's another time that you want to touch base. And in that case, I would say touch base in person and just ask them that if they're going to be able to meet that. Also, I would set my deadline date a few days before I actually need it, just to give me that buffer in case someone has forgotten. Then the last thing that you're going to do with your recommender is send them a quick thank you note. They've taken time, most teachers, it's during their personal time that they're writing these letters. So please just send them a little thank you as appreciation for what they've done. Now, what I have covered here, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. These are letters that we're talking about for your college applications. What I want to point out to you is that if you are going to be asking for any letters that are going to be used for other purposes, you need to make that clear to your writer. So if I ask teacher X to write me a letter, they are going to assume they're writing me a letter for a college application. So if I'm going to be using it for a different purpose, I need to say, would you please write a letter of recommendation for this particular scholarship or for scholarships in general or for whatever purpose that you might be having to present to them. The other very important thing for you to understand this year is that our best advice to all Loveland High School staff is that they do not give you the letter of recommendation. They should be sending it directly to your scholarships or directly to your schools. And best practice is that we do not give you a copy of that letter. All colleges won't accept it from you anyway. Most scholarships will not accept it from you. And if there becomes a situation where you absolutely have to have a copy of it, then we can look at it at that time. But do not expect to see a copy of your letter of recommendation. So you are trusting this person to write it. You probably made a wise decision. You didn't just ask somebody that barely knows you. So trust them to have done a great job and send it off for you. As in every instance, if there are any questions about letters of recommendation or anything else college related or personal related, please stop by and see your counselor. We are always here to help. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in future videos.